Welcome back, Truth Seeker. August 31st, 2018, Aretha Franklin's funeral occurred, and out of that event, the big news story was Ariana Grande being groped, as some media sources put it, by the pastor who was the lead speaker for the event. And the New York Post and some other outlets also covered that Bill Clinton, number 42, was gawking at her derriere. And I want to show you the riddles here and why Ariana Grande was at the concert in the first place wearing the short skirt that she was. Understand, all of this is planned and staged so that they can create these news cycles. This story is part of an ongoing and very repetitive theme in the media that has come to a pinnacle since Donald Trump took office. And that ongoing theme and narrative is that men have had their time, they've squandered their time, they've abused their power, they've mistreated women. You know, it all began, or it didn't really begin, but this pinnacle began with the recording of Trump a month before the election, him saying he can grope women, he can just make out with them, he can do whatever he wants because he's wealthy and powerful. And since then, it's been one story after the next. Wealthy, powerful men in the media, stories coming out about how they've mistreated women like dominoes. And, you know, this stuff's not a coincidence. Just like it's not a coincidence that The Simpsons predicted Donald Trump would become the president, it would be a disaster, and it would give way to the first female president following him. This is the narrative. This has been planned for a long time. And this is just another story in the ongoing planned cycle. So, to see through news propaganda and how it's coordinated ritually, you have to know the language of Gematria, letters and numbers. It is important to the elite. If you've ever heard that term, the cabal, meaning the secret political faction, it comes from Kabbalah, which has the core belief that God created the world by merging the letter with the number. And to make a long story short, these people are playing God using this knowledge and these numerical riddles in words and dates all along the way. So notice, in Gematria, in the two most basic ciphers, Ariana Grande with the alphabetic order equals 93, Aretha's full name, Aretha Louise Franklin with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology equals 93. And for many years, I've been talking about the significance of 93 and Black history and famous Black celebrities. I just had a breakthrough with this number and greater understanding, which I'm going to save for the next video. And that's going to be about the tattoos on Odell Beckham's back. That video is going to be on my other channel, Gematria Effect Sports. If you're not aware, I've divided my channels, Gematria Effect News and Gematria Effect Sports, in case one of my channels gets deleted. Normally I get censored for my exposures of news media. I've only been struck a couple of times for videos on sports. So anyway, I don't want to lose all of my content as I did in the summer of 2017. If you weren't here June 2017, I lost nearly 100,000 subscribers, thousands of videos, literally, thousands and thousands of hours of video content I had created over several years. Anyway, been teaching this knowledge all this time. It's very important. You learn the code, you see through what's going on. So Ariana Grande, 93. Aretha Louise Franklin, 93. Ariana Grande happens to be born in 93. She's 25 years old, days counting towards 26. Her birthday was June 26th of this year, June 26th. And from that day to the day of the funeral, the day of these allegations of her being groped and Bill Clinton checking out her bottom, 66 days later. Now, we talked about this. Aretha Franklin equals 66. The Queen of Soul equals 66. Her mother died prematurely 66 years before Aretha did. Excuse me. She didn't die 66 years before Aretha. She died... Wait a minute. Yeah, she did. She did die 66 years before Aretha. Sorry, I tried to do everything off memory. Her mother died March 7th, 1952. March 7th, 52. She died on the 66th day of the year. She died 66 years before Aretha. She was just 34 years old when she passed. In Gematria, mother equals 34, murder equals 34. So, with regards to 66, where it gains its greater relevance in this story is the word woman. The word woman with the alphabetic order equals 66. And here's Aretha who's saying, "You make me feel like a natural woman." She sang the song Respect, which was actually a song made by a man, Otis Redding, who was murdered by the numbers at age 26. She took that song of Otis Redding's and made it super famous. And she made it about, women getting more respect. Considered a song in the feminist movement now. But anyway, here's a story about women being abused again, and Ariana Grande, the focus of the story, 66 days after her birthday. Notice in Gematria, Ariana equals 26, Queen equals 26, Aretha 26, Pastor, they said the pastor groped her at this, Pastor 26, and let's not forget that Aretha died August 16th, 2018, a date with 26 numerology. 8 plus 1 plus 6 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 8, 26. Special number. Call that the God number. The word God with the alphabetic order is 26. The four-letter name of God from the Old Testament in Hebrew and in English sums to 26. Mankind made in the 26th verse of the Bible. The English alphabet, 26 letters. The word letter equals 26 in the same cipher. So a very special number is 26. As for Ariana Grande being 25, counting up to 26, the word groped equals 25. And the big news story, she was groped by the pastor, again, Bill Clinton, checking out her bottom. So, as another reminder, the date of this funeral, August 31st, 2018, they waited 15 days after her death to bury her, a relatively long time. August 31st, 2018, a date with 77 numerology, the word funeral with the alphabetic order, 77. They had the tribute concert the day before, date was 76 numerology, just like how she died at age 76. Remember, Negro equals 76, slave 76, blue 76. Million Man March on a day with 76 days left in the year. Also, with regards to 77, makes me think of the year Elvis died. Elvis died in 77. He died on August 16th, the same day Aretha died. They only waited 2 days to bury Elvis, which is more typical than waiting more than 2 weeks as they did for Aretha. But what's interesting about the date they buried Elvis, August 18th, 1977, date with 41 numerology. 8 plus 1 plus 8 plus 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 7. King equals 41. Elvis was the king. They buried him on a date with 41 numerology. The king died 41 years before the queen of soul to the day, and neither by accident. Elvis died at age 42. They said Elvis did black music. 42 is that number stamped all over black history. Aretha was born in 42. She recorded 42 studio albums. She died on a date with 42 numerology, 8 plus 16 plus 18, another way to get the date numerology. She also died in Detroit on the 42nd parallel north, number stamped all over black history. So I think this 77 death of Elvis also part of the ritual of Aretha's funeral. So here's the shot right here in the media. Bill Clinton's eyes looking down this way, big grin on his face. They're not talking about where Al Sharpton's looking though, I'm sure there were other men looking at the same place. Men naturally check out women, It's called being, a guy. And yeah, of course, there's some times when it's not right to check out a woman. Like perhaps when you're on TV and you're the sitting president and you're a married man. But anyway, the point is, the news medias love to make this narrative out of Bill Clinton and focus on it and run with it. And a certain segment of society, they love to hear about it too. They love to hate on the Clintons. So this news story, peas in all sorts of narratives. But I haven't seen any headlines about where Al Sharpton was looking. Al Sharpton has a face expression that's more like, My, oh my, do ladies wear short skirts in the 2000s? And for those of you who are younger, I mean, this has just been the way women dress for all of your life. This all started to change in the early 2000s. I remember when all of a sudden the girls were wearing the really low-cut jeans, and anytime they sat down, their ass cheeks were hanging out, and I was like, my, oh my, like, have the times changed this fast? And things have just gotten shorter and shorter from there. And the creepiest thing about it is how they have little girls wearing these types of clothes now too. You know, not just teenage and early 20s, but just young girls wearing really short things and tight things. And I mean, we just live in such a weird time, Truth Seeker. The lies, the propaganda, all of it. And at the same time they're dressing up women and little girls like this, all of a sudden this raise in these type of headlines and these types of stories, you know. You got to see what's being done to us. So they're saying right here, this is the grope. The pastor got close to her, put his arm around her waist. It's not like he has it on her bottom or anything, you know. And his explanation was, well, at our church, we get close and we hug and we show love and affection for each other. And understand, all of this stuff is done on purpose. I guarantee you this pastor was told to do this. This all needed to be this narrative, this photo shot. This all just needed to happen. And I want to show you what they did with this pastor. First, I want you to notice that Detroit's on the 42nd parallel. I want you to notice that the N-word with the alphabetic order sums to 60, and in the reduction sums to 42. If you've never seen my work on Kobe scoring 60 points for the last game of his career against the Utah Jazz, and how that was synced up with the death of Moses Malone, who was drafted in the NBA by the Utah Stars. Moses Malone died at age 60. Kobe finished his career with 60. Moses Malone, the first player drafted out of high school. Kobe, you know, legendary player drafted out of high school. There's been a number of ways in history that the number 60 has been stamped on black men as part of this sick, you know, subliminal ritual. That's been the most disgusting in the time I've been aware of this code, but no doubt this pastor being 60 years old is part of this story as well. 60 years old on the 42nd parallel, this story coming out of Detroit. The other thing that jumped out is this pastor's birthday. His name's Charles H. Ellis. His birthday is July 8th, born in 58, that Freemasonry year. But with regards to his birthday, July 8th, from that day to the date of this incident was 54 days later. And again, if you haven't followed me, maybe you haven't heard me say this before, but this is something I've been talking about for years. It's something I talk about in my book. This pairing of 54 and 93, it always comes together. They love to stick 54 with 93. And again, it's coming 54 days after his birthday with Mrs. 93, Ariana Grande, born in 93. The reason 54 and 93 are stuck together is because this code of letters and numbers is also connected to what's going on above. They say the sun is 93 million miles from Earth. The word sun, S-U-N, with the alphabetic order equals 54. 19 plus 21 plus 14 is S plus U plus N. 54. Saturn, the sixth planet from the sun, the most distant to the eye, also associated with keeping time, is the only planet that sums to 93 with the alphabetic order. Saturn, you add up the letters, 93. And you can look this up. You get the best view of Saturn from Earth every 54 weeks. That's the way it works out in the mathematics of this world. So there's a 54 and 93 relationship there too. And Saturn and the sun, the two objects of time. This incident comes together at a funeral, which is a date that has everything to do with time. You know, it's a once-in-a-lifetime event for a person, their funeral, you know. The final goodbye after passing from this earth. So, no coincidences. It's why they chose this pastor. It's why they had Ariana Grande there. You know, Bill Clinton, number 42 there. Remember they used to call Bill Clinton the first black president? That was the joke. Bill Clinton, number 42. Jackie Robinson, number 42. Of course, Jackie and Gematria equals 42, as well as a long other line of things that have to do with black history. If you have not read my book, Letters and Numbers, the 18th chapters on the contrived race war over the years by the numbers, all this racially divisive propaganda, it's also coming to a head right now. I open that chapter showing all the ways they've coded 42 and 59 on black history. Again, in Gematria, Negro equals 59, slave 59, blues 59. Base ciphers, there's 4 values for each word. 59, probably the most important one. Civil War ended on May 9th as a reminder. Motown Records came out in 59. 59 in Detroit on the 42nd parallel. Aretha, the date they announced she was on her deathbed, August 13th, 2018. 8 plus 13 plus 20 plus 18, 59 date numerology. And again, you just learn the code you see through all the rituals. Why the stories come the day they did. So if you missed the playlist that I put out on Aretha Franklin's death, there's a whole lot more information, covered a whole lot of angles. I am working on writing essentially a small chapter for a future additional book right now on the death of Aretha Franklin, because there's just so much to it. And for those people who are subscribed to my Patreon, you're going to get access to that chapter when I finish it. I'm going to release it on my Patreon. If you want to know how to subscribe to my Patreon, if you want to know how to buy my book, all that stuff's down in the description of every video. You can find the links there. The book's selling really well right now, so I'm starting to think it's time to start writing the next book. If the book keeps selling well, I know there's a market for this. And there needs to be. This is important knowledge. People need to get this knowledge. They need to start reading again. They need to start sharing information. You can't just watch YouTube videos. Reading's important. It's good for your mind. It's just like exercising, builds that mind muscle. So anyway, next video gonna be on Odell Beckham's tattoos. There's so much 93 encoded in it, and finally crack something with 93, why they're coding this number on Black History. Remember, Black History Month equals 93, plus a whole lot more things. So Gematria affects sports. That's where that video is going to be. And then for you sports fans, I got to show you something about the Andrew McCutchen trade to the Yankees, number 26, joining up with the Yankees. Yankees 26, who won their 26th World Series once upon a time on October 26th. Again, special number. Yankees' most special team in MLB baseball. And that Andrew McCutchen trade is extra special. So we're going to be looking at that as well over on Gematria Effect Sports. Till next time, Truth Seeker.